All right, Dexter Manley, the final day of 2020 here on the John Riggins Show. A wild, crazy, I don't think a great year for too many people. It's been a tough year. We're going to break it all down that and get into the Fighting Washington football team as they get ready for the Eagles at the Link. Here's Riggo.
All righty, Todd. Thank you very much, Dex. How are you doing?
Well, better than good, better than most.
Excellent, Todd.
He just makes me laugh. He's got this little. Something's going on there. Dex is.
I think so today. Dex has got something we're going to get to.
He's got the giggles going.
So happy New Year, Dex.
Yeah, same to you.
And happy New Year, Todd.
Thank you.
I've always wondered though, if there's ever something that was superficial saying Happy New Year. I mean, I'm starting to think it's kind of like Merry Christmas. It's just like, well, you say it at this time of year. Does anybody? What do you? When you say something like that, shouldn't you? Really, you're looking at somebody going, Happy New Year. But no, it's just like a Happy New Year, same to you. It just is in passing. There's nothing really, it's a sentiment, I guess.
It's a mark of time, and then it's better than, hey.
Up yours?
Yeah.
Okay, I got a question.
I don't know. I'm kind of one of those guys that,
Up yours?
Up yours works for me.
I got a question for you and Todd. Which one you rather see, Dick Clark or Ryan Seacrest?
Ryan Seacrest?
Seacrest drop the ball.
I'd like.
Well, Dick Clark can't drop the ball.
I know he's dead.
Okay. Just so we're straight on that.
Happy New Year.
He's he was an institution. I don't know how many years he did
agree
it. So
with that.
it'd be kind of hard to argue. In 30 years, you might go, oh, that's a fair question. Dick or Ryan? Ryan or Dick?
Never going to be in my mind. Dick Clark, 100%. I don't get Ryan Seacrest at all.
He's too busy anyway.
He's too pretty. There's something going on there.
This guy, he does not rest, does he? Doesn't he have a radio show?
Yes, that's how he made his claim to fame. He's got a national radio show, whatever.
Well, who else did he claim to fame?
What, Ryan Seacrest?
Yes.
Who else did Ryan Seacrest claim to fame? Well,
a popular, I call him young culture family.
His?
Kardashian.
There you go.
The Kardashians.
He's tied to the Kardashians?
Yeah,
he found the Kardashians.
He created the show, Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Dex thought he could stop me there for a second.
Go ahead, old Todd.
So he's getting a piece of that pie?
He created it.
Yeah.
It's his production company.
His production.
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
He's way over $100 million guy.
He's 250.
Say Dex is on his game.
And I think that's conservative, Dex.
Yeah, Dex had his high test.
Because that show turns out, it's a great show too. I love it. It's just like I can't. Yeah. I'm not watching reruns now.
It's Riggo's must-see TV.
Yeah, I like almost 24/7. I got the Kardashians on.
My goal is to stay up tonight and watch them drop the ball.
Okay.
You ain't never got. Well, actually,
but I might not make it.
I don't see it, Dexter.
Dex, I might have to invite you back over because you went to 11:30 on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, it was such a good party.
That's true.
He made it to 11:30, which I was astounded.
And I wasn't falling asleep.
Normally, it's Lydia. We got to go.
He had a lot of life
Lydia, we got to go.
Well, I got to ask everybody. Myself, I haven't really thought about it, but a New Year's resolution. Does anybody have one? Mine was a few years ago is to not have New Year's resolutions, and I pretty much stuck with it. So I don't have one. I didn't even think about it.
I got nothing.
It's just like, the big popular ones, everybody quits drinking. But I guess if I was going to have one, I'd start drinking. That's kind of the way I'd look at it.
Well, I started early. Well, for years, I went 13 years without sugar. You asked me about
sugar?
Sugar. Yeah, I stayed gone for.
So you never ate a candy bar in 13 years?
No. I stayed away from candy bars for 13 years. Okay, when I had my second brain surgery, the guy that likes John Riggins is Mark Bloom. He came over to Georgetown and gave me a Snicker.
As soon as you had the surgery?
Yeah. And I tell you the truth, I stayed up maybe for like a day and a half.
After eating that Snickers?
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you, did they tell you that sugar is bad for you, so you had to stop eating sugar? Or did you just decide for whatever reason that I think sugar's bad for me?
Yeah, from my reading, and I can read now, that sugar is bad for you.
Well, it ain't good, that's for sure.
Yeah. I another thing I'm going to stop, I used to run down to Popeyes, get a piece of chicken. I'm cutting that out.
Fast food?
He's cutting that out. He's going Chick-fil-A only.
But that's not fried. That's not fried.
Dexter's made me take him to Chick-fil-A a couple of times.
But that's not fried. But no more.
How do they prepare it? It's broiled or whatever?
Kind of broiled, but no more fried chicken. And definitely, I'm going on 3 months of no sugar. I stopped sugar on.
Ever since that Snicker bar?
No, I stopped sugar on Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Oh, so you hadn't had the sugars and things.
Yeah.
That's
November
right.
the 16th.
That's right, because now it's all making sense. Last week, you remember, Coco made the berry pie.
Oh,
With
the
ice
Mary
cream?
Berry pie.
I couldn't believe Dex passed on it.
Dex did pass on it.
Yeah, I do
Your
remember
wife
that
and I
now.
housed that pie.
Now it makes I didn't understand. Well, Dex, it's homemade pie. Give it a shot. And Coco baked, it's her second pie ever, but she's mastered the hardest part, which is the
the
crust.
crust.
Yeah.
The crust.
Yeah.
Amazing
We're still
stuff.
working on the filling a little bit.
All right. Well,
Anyway.
I got a question. I got a question
Okay.
for you guys. Let's get into with the tough year and the country. We had a lot of social protesting, election year, just a wild, wacky, not a very pleasant year. So we know the NBA ratings were down, Major League Baseball, most of the professional sports. I've got the top 100 shows, the highest rated shows,
Individually, show.
2020. What do you think, Dexter, was the number one rated show, the highest audience for 2020?
Well, I don't watch a lot of TV, but I'm going to roll the dice and say what's that guy? Shelton.
Sheldon.
Sheldon.
Who's Sheldon?
Sheldon is on CBS, I believe.
CBS, and I like
Young
Sheldon. Young
But
Sheldon.
does this include cable shows?
Everything. Anything that's been on broadcast TV, the number one rated for the year. Now, Dexter, that is hysterical. The Young Sheldon.
Young Sheldon.
I don't know
It's
what
a
it is.
sitcom. It's a sitcom on CBS, and they put a bunch of money into it.
Yeah.
Not close, but I like your style.
All right,
Riggo?
I'll go with Peaky Blinders only because I'm going to go.
Okay. So that's Netflix and Prime. That doesn't count in this universe. So you're
Although if you act in that, you can get an Academy Award, right? If you're in a movie.
You can now. You can. They've
Yeah, they've
opened that
changed
up.
it. It doesn't have to be a film.
Well, what's number one every year?
Football.
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl.
So it still is the number
Super
one
Bowl's
show.
number one. What do you think? 2, 3 in that hood. Think about where we've been as a country this year.
News.
Ding, ding, ding. Getting warmer.
What did he say?
News.
Oh,
Coronavirus.
No, a show, a program,
a single program.
a single program.
Singapore.
But
What
is
do we
it- is
all
it a
gather
series?
around? What do we all gather around and watch this year? A handful of times. Think about it. What do we all gather around? Election year,
Oh, the election.
the
The
debate, the
Debate.
presidential
Oh,
debates.
Yeah.
The first debate was number 2 behind the Super Bowl. The third highest show was the second presidential debate. The fourth highest show, the vice presidential debate. But here's where I'm burying the lead, if you will. The NFL has 69 of the top 100 rated shows. The NFL is in 69 of them.
Oh, that's
32 of the 50, 14 of the top 20. The power of the league.
And now this is just current football games that were played this fall
Yes.
with
TV
COVID and all
shows.
that. How did they compare with a year ago as far as total viewership goes for, say, the Super Bowl?
It's
Although it probably, because COVID hadn't really hit,
No.
so that's not a fair question, I guess. But as far as these games that, for the 2020 season, any idea how they would compare with a year ago,
I
2019?
don't have the year-to-year comparisons, but it's. I want to say
It's
it's
down.
flat. No, it's probably flat to maybe slightly up. All the other professional leagues
Were down.
Were way down.
You're telling me football is the anomaly.
Football has maintained 69 out of the top 100, and this includes shows like Sheldon. This includes anything that you're watching on TV or cable, you're over the air or cable. So the power of the league is
Pretty
still
astounding.
remains just stunning.
Yeah, and we talked about this, last week or the week before, I can't remember, as far as, with the TV contracts and what have you, and the way, because I assumed that basically viewership was down because it wasn't the other sports. But if you're telling me that football is still leading the pack,
Killing it.
I was going to say, then, what they're not getting, the TV people aren't giving any money back.
No,
Or, I mean, the
No, they
NFL
don't
doesn't have to give any money back to
No,
the TV people. They're fulfilling their
No.
contract.
100%.
Force majeure hasn't affected them, which
No.
is pretty strange.
Okay, Todd. My question is, do you see the league still going strong in another 20 years?
That's a great question, Dexter. Personally, I do not.
What do you base
don't.
your personal
Now, here's
opinion
where their revenue is going to, the pie is going to increase. So revenue is closing at like 15, 16 billion a year for the league now.
God, what 10 years ago it was $9 billion. They've almost
Yeah,
doubled it.
and since 2001, John, it started out at just a couple of billion. I mean, it's grown exponentially. But here's why the revenue side of it's going to continue to go up. And the single biggest thing is gambling.
Right.
And everybody's being aligned. All the owners, for a new stadium here in Washington or any other place, they all want
bigger stadium.
They want a sports book in these stadiums, and the ability. So the league gets that. They get a cut of all that action between fantasy sports, Madden. John, you and I were talking about it the other night. There are professional leagues, professional players that play Madden football
that make money off
of it.
That
make significant money, 6-figure money, 7-figure money. It's getting to that point. The game itself and what's happening on the field, that's where I think the what's going to happen in 20 years, because less and less kids are playing football.
Right.
Less and less because of the danger of that. So I don't know. It's a real conundrum staring them in the face, because the league is going like this, and nothing goes like this forever.
Yeah. Let me throw something out. I had this thought. What if football was scripted like WWE? And in other words, and you could almost make the argument, who's to say it's not? And the only people that are...
This is the Tom Brady story?
No,
We're going to take you out of New England. We're going to put you in Tampa.
They're the worst team there in all the sports.
Quite some time.
Who?
The Buccaneers.
They haven't been that bad. They were on the come a year ago.
Yeah.
And all they were lacking was a quarterback for the most part. Although, what's his name was there? The guy that's was in Miami this year.
Jameis Winston.
No,
Jameis Winston?
He's in New Orleans.
The Irishman.
You're talking Fitzmagic?
Yeah, Fitzmagic.
Fitzgerald, isn't it?
No.
Patrick?
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, he was there a year ago in 2019, wasn't he?
No, he was in Miami.
In Miami.
He was in Miami then.
Yeah.
Well, 2 years before that. He never played for the Tampa Bay
He's
Bucks.
been on damn near every team.
He played for the Bucks 1 year and was playing pretty good. They were going back and forth with him.
He's been on about 20 teams.
Yeah, he's been on a bunch.
And he's probably about as old as Brady himself, isn't he?
Nah,
He's in his 40s.
No, I don't think he's 40 yet. I think he's late 30s.
Yeah, well, my point is he's been around
That's
for
an
a
old.
while.
That's old for a football player, right?
Yeah, and particularly for a guy that was never really caught on in any one place and
Right.
traveled as much as he did. No, for me, that's where kind of you get into that weird space of when, this is what I've always wondered about. That, and it's kind of a strange thought, that just like WWE, I guess when they have the big SmackDown, all this, nobody knows who's going to win, right?
Except the wrestlers.
Except the wrestlers. And I go, well, okay, because it's all, they create the illusion.
You hit him with the chair.
Well, the difference here is, and this is what I'm trying to say about all this gambling and all the things is building up on football and sports in general, it all comes down to, because everything is WWE, and it doesn't make a difference, college football, whatever, it could be high school for that matter. But really what makes the difference is when the ball's in play.
Right.
Then it's something that is, and that's the whole beauty of it, I guess, is the concept of fair play and competition.
Integrity.
And yeah, exactly, the shield. And so, once but that all comes from the guys that are on the field, and only they can create that. And, I've always thought to myself that that's such a special thing that they create. There's that air of competition that anybody can market that. Anybody, that's what really it gets down. Because once, I don't know though, but this is what I say is kind of strange about it. In WWE, can you make a bet on WWE who's going to win a certain thing? Is it that closely held a secret?
Wow,
Because
that's a great question.
is there a book on, is Hulk Hogan, is he going to win the championship this year?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Well, meaning that, you
Put 100 large in with the guys in the back end. I see where you're going, Riggo.
Yeah,
you got the script for a movie here.
I think we're working on something. Anyway, I'll just let it go at that.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what.
I'm getting to where my brain can't keep up with what I'm trying to keep up with.
All right, guys, here we go.
Yeah.
Coach Rivera stated in his press conference earlier this week, which still kind of, if you had told me at the beginning of the year that we'd be in this position, boy, I got to tell you, what an accomplishment this is. I'm just kind of flummoxed by that you got 6 wins. Now you are playing for you're playing for the division title, in which the winner of this division looks like they're going to face Tampa Bay and one Tom Brady. But they travel up to the Lincoln, primetime Philadelphia, Sunday night. Gentlemen, let's hear your thoughts on this game and what's going to happen.
I go first, John.
Please.
I think that it seemed to be even match. The Redskins offense,
And the Washington football team.
Redskins offense pretty much last in every category.
Yeah.
In passing, total offense, rushing, 26 points, 26, and turnovers and takeaways, they're 28th. Now the defense.
Dexter's done his homework. I like this.
Yeah, now the defense.
John, you better make some notes.
I got scribbles
down.
and doodles, scribbles and doodles, scribbles and doodles. Go ahead, Dex.
The defense in the top in ranking in total points, total yards, they're number 4. Passing, they're 13. No, they're 3. I don't have glasses. I'm not going to wear glasses. But in rushing, they're 12.
Defense.
Yeah, this is talking about
Right.
defense. And points scored, they're 5. Takeaway, takeaway and turnovers, they're 13.
Okay, now do you go ahead?
Let me and the Philadelphia Eagles offense, total ranking, they're 22. Passing, they're 27. Only thing they're in the top 10 is in rushing. And points scored, they're 25. Takeaways and turnovers, they're 30.
Not good.
Not good.
Not good.
So that tells me that the Redskins got a winning edge over them.
Like they did over Carolina, like they did over the Giants. The problem is, will the defense show up? Because Carolina rushed the ball, stuffed
Yeah,
it down their
understand.
throat,
Yeah,
these
yeah,
teams.
yeah.
So the
And
defense.
so did Seattle the week before.
Right. So this is kind of, it's kind of like we talk about these stats with the defense, because statistically this is a top 5 defense, right? Everybody's the much ballyhoo defense. So you think the defense is going to step up and finally get it done for them?
Well, I think they should play more disruptive versus the first half, second half. I think they got to play 60 minutes of football like the offense. The offense ought to have no rhythm until maybe the second quarter.
I think we're wasting our time. I think that we should be talking about the Tampa Bay game. I'm getting ready
Crown
for that.
'em.
The first playoff game. The first playoff game.
Oh, yeah.
Not this playoff game. It's a foregone conclusion.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as Vegas turned and went from -1
Vegas.
for Philly, now it's 1.5.
1.5 for Washington.
Washington.
So.
They're automatic. They're going to win. Washington wins.
Yeah. When you
going
say
away.
Tampa Bay, who you saying going to play Tampa?
Washington. Yeah, in other words, we need to, you, me, and Todd, should start previewing the Tampa Bay game when they play in a week.
In a week.
Because
Dexter,
this is a laugher.
We're not
This is
meeting
a
them
laugher.
at the Amtrak station when they come back from Philly. We're not going to meet them at the station in
Well, why don't we
D.C.
just meet them
It's
at
for
the
bigger-
park?
we could send them off. They might leave tomorrow. Let's send them off. Let's go.
Well,
meet
John,
'em
when you
send
and
them
I,
off.
we had fans send us off.
Yes, they did.
But why
Because you
can't we?
guys were champions. You
Why
were
can't
winners.
we send them off?
Yeah, it's hard for me to, like Todd said, and this is what's, I mean, you don't know what to believe, but I guess you could say, yeah, it is pretty incredible that you've won 6 games. 6 games?
6 games.
6 and 10.
And you're playing for a playoff spot after in the last game of the season. It's like, yeah, I gotta agree with that. Who
Dream
would
the
have thunk
dream.
that?
Dream the dream.
Who could have thunk it? In other words, it's kind of like, yeah, well, let's not talk about the record. It's just like it's fortunate. I don't, it's to me with this game, it really gets down to, once again, I think everybody should be looking for that change that everybody wants to see in the franchise, in the culture, and all these different things. And I don't know if I've seen glimpses of it. Maybe that's a good way to put it. I've seen glimpses, but I haven't really seen where the light comes on and stays on. I don't think that, that Seattle was a perfect example. I thought Seattle represented, an opportunity to where you really start to force your will on another team, and defensively speaking, because the offense obviously is kind of in tatters with whoever the quarterback may be at any given moment. And so, but I didn't see that. I mean, like I said, see it in glimpses, But here's an opportunity. You really are truly playing a team that one would think, on paper anyway, based on what you just said, is a weaker team. You should beat. There should be no reason for Philly to want to hang around. You should be able to go out there and stomp these guys, basically, and really get fired up about, if that's where this is going or if it's just another football game. That's what I'm looking to see. I assume that Washington will win the game, but will they win it convincingly? If they hang on to the very end and, are just like and get across the finish line, wheezing and coughing and all that, and they win the game, and then they got to play Tampa. And you can always go, well, yeah, but now it's a whole new season. And it's true, when the playoffs starts, there's a new season. And maybe, but, it's like if you're going to believe any of the coach speak, basically, your record, you are what you are. Bill Parcells said it years ago.
Right.
You are what you are. And you practice, you play the way you practice. All right, well, you got to say against Philly, you didn't just go up there and throttle these guys. Then you kind of look and go, well, you really haven't. You've got a long ways to go, I guess is what I'm saying. And so to be able to say next week, what Tampa was a team that was on the come a year ago. They get a quarterback now all of a sudden, and they're really putting it together.
They are. I'm
thinking that, okay, show us what you got against this outfit, and let's see the growth. I think that's what you got to look for, is the growth. And I've seen signs of it, but it's just almost like seed corn when it basically pops out of the ground. You can barely see it, and you got to wait for a couple more weeks, and then it actually starts to get a little bit taller.
I think we've seen throughout the season it's been two steps forward, one step back.
Yeah,
two
exactly.
steps forward, one step back. Yeah. This defense has to set the tone.
I would say
smash them in the mouth.
All right.
Hold them. Don't let them march down on the field.
Yep,
hold them scoreless.
Yep,
defense has to do this. You got too many question marks on offense, regardless of who's playing quarterback. Terry McLaurin's probably not going to play. Right. Antonio Gibson, he's questionable. These guys are not practicing. So.
Yep.
The defense is going to have to carry this thing.
You're going to have to carry them, yeah.
Right, and that's the way I see it. And I think that they will. I think that Washington, I guess, I'm being a little bit, what do you call it, too wordy about what the team needs to show. They're handicapped. Their offense is really, they got no quarterback really to speak of. So but your defense, they know that it's on us. And they got to come out, and you're playing a Philly team that started out with one quarterback. They ended up with another.
Right.
You better go up there and just completely shut them out. And you do that, and you come home, and then all of a sudden you're going to say, you know what? They just need an offense. They're getting there, and see what happens against Tampa.
Well, I could tell you this. If Jalen Hurts play, they better put track shoes on versus football cleats, because this guy...
It's going to be like a Kyler Murray.
Bingo.
But he's got the swivel hips.
That's his game.
What he does.
So make him beat you with his arm, because he's the young quarterback. The former Alabama that went to, I believe, Oklahoma. And so that's it. That's the game. And does Philadelphia what are they playing for?
And I tell you, they got another guy there that bought him off IR, Deshaun Jackson.
Oh yes, that's right. He's got a little something for Washington.
Yeah.
I believe he scored a touchdown last week.
He did. He scored a touchdown.
Where was he? Was he in Buffalo?
No, he was in Tampa.
Yeah, he went to Tampa.
See, I know my stuff.
Yes, you do.
I'm on top of it today.
He did his homework. Dexter's on his game.
He really did.
All right, let's go. Final prediction of the year. Dexter Manley.
I got to go with the Washington Redskins. I mean, the football team, because they got all the numbers show they're going to be a better football team.
All right.
Come Sunday night.
So the numbers say he popped it into the computer, and the numbers say Washington football team. Riggo?
I got to go with Washington. I think they'll prevail. I think it's the storybook ending. Alex Smith comes out, does a few things, gets everything together, and.
All right. Well, there's your final predictions for 2020, because. If they win the division here, we're going to be in 2021.
That's true.
And that's a new year, culture change and everything, Dexter.
Yeah.
So coming up next, we got a special delivery from WTOP's George Wallace with his mother bakes the most amazing baklava. We haven't had it in years. And George is coming by with a special delivery. And he's been covering the Washington football team and the Redskins for many years. So we're going to be checking in with George. John, it is time to welcome in a longtime friend, one of Washington's best, one of WTOP's esteemed sports reporter, George Wallace.
Hey, guys.
George, how you doing?
I'm all right. Thanks for having me. That's a heck of an intro.
By the way, we
Thank
got to
you.
get this right. Thanks to your mom, George. The baklava. I told you that a little while ago that it's been 10 years since I had some.
Yes.
That she had achieved perfection 10 years ago, but it's actually better.
Better.
Than it was 10 years ago.
I will
Maybe
pass
it's
it
only
on.
because I haven't had it for 10 years, but it's excellent.
And
Well,
it's,
thank you. I will pass that along to
and
you.
it was
Thank
so
you,
good.
Mom Wallace, huh?
It was so good that John had
Yeah.
baklava
Yeah.
chips like all on us as we got ready to tape this, and I said, "John, you got baklava?" And he goes, "How do you know I didn't want it there?"
Save it for
Right.
later.
Well, kind of I did. It's like wearing a badge of courage. So it's like, this stuff is so good, you wish you want some.
I will pass that along to her. Yes, thank
Please
you.
do that.
All right.
All right, Georgie. What do you see here? We are at the very end of the road, and who would have thunk it, right? Going for a playoff spot when you're in.
Yeah.
You look back on this season, when it started out back in August, you recall what you was thinking, where this team would be at this particular point in the year?
I didn't think here. I thought they'd. What I had said, what I thought they would surprise some people and be better than people think, maybe just because of the Rivera factor. I believe that. I think, and there had to be. You couldn't really go worse than 3-13 from a year ago. Well, you could, but it'd be pretty tough
Right.
to do. But I didn't expect them to be here. No, and I certainly didn't expect us to be counting on whether or not make a decision on Sunday if Alex Smith's going to be on the field or not. I mean,
Wow.
that's right. I mean, that's
Yeah,
just.
that's
I think maybe he would give Dwayne Haskins the year, but I really believe when he thought that, I believe him when he said after those 4 weeks that the division was god awful, that he says, why not have a chance to win this thing? And this is not my guy. It's not. And I have no problem with him making the change there. If you know that this is not going to be your guy, why? Like I said, if you have 52 other guys in that locker room that are counting on you, right, to make that decision, and if you're just going to let it go through the season, knowing that Dwayne's not going to be your guy and get to the playoffs, I don't think you're doing that the rest of those guys a service. That's just the way I saw it, and I have no problem with the way he did it, and I think that he figured with Kyle Allen, they could be where they are now.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good observation. You also have to think too, though, that based on the way number 7 played this year, that conclusion would have come to that at some point.
Yeah.
I don't think they were going to go 16 games, and then after this, last game was over with Philadelphia. Go, I don't think number 7 is going to work out here because he would have played himself out. Because everything you said, I think is 100% true. You start losing the locker room when you got a guy going. People start feeling like there's some kind of political machinations behind why this person is playing and somebody else isn't. And you're not, when the players know, and not that they know all the time. Sometimes you got to step back from it as a coach is in a position to do. But they've got a pretty good idea who can play and who can't play, and particularly your offensive receivers. When you start talking about a quarterback, I would think. I mean, it ain't so much, like a running back. It's like, well, they all pretty much hand the ball off the same. There's not much to reading.
Touch.
Yeah.
There's not much to reading where the back is.
You didn't have a preference, John? Like Joe Willie, really soft handoff.
Yeah.
Loved it.
No, I don't recall that. But my point is that all handoffs aside, that and I'm sure that number 7 had a great touch when he handed the ball off. But let's face it, he struggled getting the ball down the field, and then he threw in a few, I don't know, I guess temper tantrums along the way, and whatever else that you go through, where I guess that you kind of put yourself out there to where you're so good. I guess maybe. I mean, I was the only guy I knew of that was like that. That actually, didn't really need to practice, didn't need to look at game film. But I didn't play quarterback.
My thing would be if you're, and I was thinking about this too. If it's another coach and it's not a Rivera guy who's been there and demands that kind of respect, does he let Dwayne go? Let's say Jay.
When you demand that kind of respect, what do you?
I mean, as far as the way he came in immediately and had the locker room. I mean, maybe now it's different because the previous regime didn't. With Jay.
Oh, you're talking about Rivera. He
Yeah.
came in immediately, had the locker room.
Yeah.
The
culture. Right. Is it different? Well, then again, but Jay didn't want him last year either. But is it a thing where another coach lets it to prove to maybe the owner that, look, this is not going to be my guy. I'll let you play it out 16 games, then you can see what happens. Or is it different because Rivera is a guy who has been in the Super Bowl, has played in the Super Bowl, this and that, and it's, I'm just not going to do this. It's not fair to the locker room to have a guy go out there. How can you say you're trying to win football games and deep down this is not your guy, right?
Yeah, that's where it gets weird, though, I think, George, in the sense when you look at any franchise, they get what they think is going to be their future guy. drafted him as high as they did. I mean, if we're talking about a third or a fourth round pick, the decision, because it's always about embarrassment for the people that made this choice.
Right.
They're going to keep horsing it. You see it time and time again when somebody drafts somebody really high, and they won't give up on him because otherwise some heads are going to roll perhaps. But in this situation, I think, with the players and, like you said, Rivera comes in here. There's a fine line, I guess, between trying to find out, in other words, what is I guess like any business, and I'm the farthest thing from a business guy, as my wife keeps reminding me, that, is that what's our goal, like in a business? When are we going to be profitable? Do we expect it in 6 months? Is it, or is it 6 years? So you come in as a coach and you take over a franchise and you got to evaluate your talent and kind of get an idea. When do we think we can actually be a team that's capable of going to a Super Bowl? And after you've looked at everything, well, we don't. We got a first-year quarterback. I mean, from last year that was drafted, in the middle of the first round. What are we going to do with that? Well, we got to see what this guy's got, right? So, in a way, you realize that the season is kind of on the line, but you also look and go, but we need help in other areas. It's like if you're one person away, that's one thing, but if you're a ways away from everything, which, based on the history of this franchise, you're starting dead last almost every year when you come out of the blocks. It's like the horse's handicap. They got to carry more weight than everybody else. But so, then you have to temper that, I would guess. And so I think Rivera did the best he could. I'm sure there was a lot of influence from up above. This is our guy. Yeah. So he had to factor that in. I mean, the things you look back on, though, as the kind of coach that we assume Ron Rivera to be, none of us has been in his locker room or in his team meetings or, don't know exactly how. But, when you look and you think that they made this guy the team captain, I mean, right out of the blocks. Yeah. I mean, that, too, though, and I can see that because that's not really a knock on it. It's like he's trying to say, grow into this. In other words, we're going to give you some authority and some, a little
I named you the starter early.
But do you believe that the players voted it? He says the players voted him captain. I don't know if I believe that.
Well, see, I don't either.
Okay.
I mean, that's the other thing. If you really start to draw down on things, I mean, there's really not a lot of faith. You almost have to figure everything out for yourself. You can't really listen to what the machine out at Ashburn tells you about the math, or I shouldn't say that, about the comings and goings of everything internally that's going on with the team. Because, basically, I believe that they're in a situation where they'll tell a lie sometimes when the truth will do.
It's basically been Baghdad circa.
Baghdad Bob.
Baghdad Bob for about 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, that's my feeling on it.
Except ace reporters like George Wallace, who has a nose for news. And getting to the bottom of it with limited access.
Well, and based on what you just said, Todd, so I go to George, the guy that's out there. Is that kind of the way you feel about it, George? Or do you think you may incriminate yourself if you answer that truthfully? That you may have to go Baghdad Bob.
Guys, got to go. Baklava, everybody.
Exactly.
Is that my phone ringing out there?
Colonel Flag. Where did George go?
I mean, no, it has been a mess from the beginning. But here's the other thing, too. Keep in mind, Kyle Smith's in that building. He's one of the holdovers scouting wise. They didn't want him last year. The football people, So and that's going to be Rivera's going to get that. And Ron even said I believe he said they didn't have a first round grade on him in Carolina last year, right? With Dwayne, I have to go back and check that. In the draft.
Nobody did.
Right.
Only one guy did.
Right.
We know who that was.
Yeah. And if the draft, and my guess is if they'd have been higher than a 15th pick. If it was, like this year, if it was a second overall pick,
Dwayne could have been Chase Young.
Yeah, he could have been, or Joe Burrow from this year, right? Joe Burrow, who was the first pick last year?
Burrow.
Last year.
Oh.
No, who was his quarterback?
19.
Oh, I know who it was. The kid, Kyler Murray, wasn't it? Or was he the year before?
That was the year before, right?
No, this is Kyler.
Oh no, it was Dwayne's year. Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray.
It was Kyler.
I'm sorry.
Murray.
Kyler Murray.
I can't believe that. I scooped the scooper.
It was Murray, Daniel Jones, and Dwayne, the three quarterbacks in that first round.
That's it.
They done messed up.
I heard that.
They done messed up.
Yeah. Who? New York. I'm confused about that, but Lisa Marie said that pony is dead. Quit whipping him. So I'm going to say
the news is the news, and all teams passed on him on the waiver wire. Yeah. So he's still got
4.3 left.
I mean, you got one game to go in the regular season.
Right.
Well, let's not, now you're really starting to.
So I heard someone this week
Todd,
say,
put the whip down.
I heard
Todd.
someone say this week Philly should get him because they're playing that last game of the year. I'm like, that's just not gonna. Philly's not gonna pay $4 million for one game when Philly's out of it.
Exactly.
That
I'm
makes
gonna
zero
say.
sense.
They got
Well,
enough problems.
the
up there.
fans-
Oh, they got no quarterback
got
problem.
But
enough.
George, you got to admit the fans would do that.
Everybody show wearing
Wait,
7 jerseys.
Just get the fans drunk and they go, God damn it, get that guy.
Get him
we got to
here."
get his information.
No, they don't need any more pictures of people in 7 jerseys. That's what got him in trouble.
Yeah.
That's what got him in trouble a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Speaking
Not
of
so-
7, didn't our original number 7, he reached out to no avail? Is that
Yeah,
the rumor
that's
out
the rumor.
Yeah,
he tried a
that,
couple times, didn't return his call.
He tried to shed some knowledge and pass on
Well, hey,
his
you gave,
Jedi
him his,
techniques.
you gave him his jersey number, so you figured again.
We
call
can't
the
do
guy
much
back.
more than that. But I think that was like Joe did something. Joe did something.
Joe's
that-
big in the strip clubs now. That
think he
7
put-
jersey. That 7 jersey.
I think Joe
the
put a
7 jersey
hex on
comes
it.
right off, and
He did it because of the jersey?
Yeah, he hexed it. He did something.
see?
Joe, I thought it was odd
well, he
when
did. At
he
least
gave
he didn't break his
I'm,
leg.
if I'm Haskins, I'm saying, give me another shot and give me another number.
Give me another number, right?
Listen, Dwayne, in a way, given the history with from Colt McCoy to Kyle Allen, Alex Smith, he's lucky to walk away.
Yeah.
Literally walk away.
Especially on that FedEx turf.
Yeah, indeed.
Is
All
it
right.
bad out there?
It's bad. It's. We haven't been down on the. We can't go on the field this year because of all the protocols. But you see it. It's even at the end of years. Even
Listen,
they
I'll
have
tell you
all
something,
these
George. I'll
concerts.
take that turf over Philly anytime. I'm talking about the old vet.
old,
or
concrete.
St. Louis or Cincinnati or Pittsburgh or
Did you know
the
that
place
that
in Houston, the
AstroTurf-
Astrodome.
The AstroTurf
Goes
field
on.
is still out in Ashburn. The one from '91 when they opened the building.
Wow.
Because that's when I guess they would practice when they would go to the vet
Yeah.
or go to Giant Stadium. It is still there with the old helmet in the middle, the emblem. But it's just, and when they're practicing on a certain field, we stand on that field to watch. And my God, I don't know how. It's cement.
It's concrete. Yeah.
Well, by now it probably is. You got to remember that thing's what.
But
30
wasn't it
years
cement?
old.
What isn't that
Oh
what it was?
yeah, that's my point.
Yeah.
And the other part of that is, I think, which was even more, dangerous was the way they would put these inserts where the pitcher's mound was, and then where the first base
Those
and third
seams
base.
that weren't all together.
Yeah, in other words, and that was basically what do you call it? Artificial turf, and it was stapled onto plywood. With a border around it so that they could get the level right, so it was level with the rest of the turf. And like I said, you'd be running along and you'd step on that stuff. It's like stepping on a trampoline. Your next step, you look like a gazelle. You'd launch.
Riggo the video game.
I can't believe there
Like
wasn't
Super Mario.
guys,
Wong,
yeah.
wong, wong.
I mean, it was bad. And then, like you said, basically, I got to believe poor Earl Campbell, down at the Astrodome, which was the original artificial turf.
Okay.
That literally, that was like playing in a parking lot.
Yeah.
And I got to believe, because I think he's got, serious, I don't know, it's, rheumatism,
Arthritis.
and all, but clearly from getting bounced off of that stuff on a regular basis,
I
that couldn't
imagine-
have been good for his health.
People that had home games, like the Giants and the Eagles, that played at least 8 games on that kind of stuff. Dallas was that way too, right? The old
Yeah,
Texas
Dallas has
Stadium?
never had. Not that I've ever known. Is their current stadium
The
artificial
They have
turf?
the turf. They have that new turf
It's
now.
like the mix.
Not grass.
No.
You know what? Every time somebody says new turf, they got new turf. I go, get the hell out of here. It's artificial turf. And don't tell me that somehow, I guess scientists and doctors, their contributions would help, of course. They figured out a way to make actually grass for something that the human being or the human animal has evolved over a couple 100,000 years into. Oh, this is actually best. We just came up with this, 10 years ago, and it is by far better than grass. It's better than grass. We have actually evolved to be able to play on this stuff.
Well, some of the
It's like, get outta
stadiums,
here.
the new stadium, I know in Arizona, and I think in Houston, it's like a sliding tray.
Oh, the field slides in
It's
and out.
slide,
Yeah.
and it is grass.
That's grass, yeah.
Right.
But MetLife, Giants, Philly. Oh, is Philly natural?
The link.
That may be
They
natural
used to
grass
be.
now.
Some of this used to be. New England used to be grass, and I think they're artificial.
They're in
turf
that
now.
new field turf.
Years ago,
It's
Gillette.
the little pebbles too that pop
Right.
up and you.
Well, see, and that to me, I'm going like, what? You're down there and you get bounced off that stuff, and there's
Yeah.
got to be some dust that goes. You inhale the dust. And it's like, oh, that's good. For
Well,
you.
remember there were a bunch of injuries at the beginning of the year at MetLife. The back-to-back Niners, then the Jets. Whoever played the Jets, and they were looking into that. Like
Yeah.
they're supposed to investigate the FedEx Field turf.
Of all the things, no, we're getting a little bit far afield here, but I will make one last comment on of all the things. But I guess players don't care. it's just all about the money, and they're willing to play on whatever
that
you
stuff.
put them on. If they put them on asphalt, they'll play on asphalt. But boy, to me, that's like one of the big things to this day. In fact, my daughter's school, they recently had to redo their, and I was hoping that they would put grass back, but they didn't.
Yeah.
But then I'm thinking, well, yeah,
I'll take plane
Yeah, exactly.
services for 100, Alex.
yeah. Well, that's where it is. The maintenance.
Now-
there's very little maintenance.
All right,
with
George.
My
Let's
backyard
get,
is regular grass.
Let's get. How do you see Sunday prime time? Prime time Sunday night. How do you see this playing out? Washington football team at the link.
Well, first, what do you think on the quarterback? Because clearly that's where everybody is. And I got to believe that's where Las Vegas is, right? They're going.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, remember that early line. The initial line was Philly -1. Then it went up to Washington -2.5.
After Haskins was cut.
Yeah. Well, then after Haskins was cut, now it's back down to Washington -1.5 because
Is it?
nobody knows who's
Yeah.
playing quarterback.
I think I would have to believe Alex is going to play. You've had 2 weeks off now. If it's a calf, he's been on the field. He went through a practice Friday, and he didn't practice yesterday.
He did not. He did. Yeah.
No, he didn't practice Wednesday. He just did
did not.
individual stuff. And here's how I would believe. I would believe that if Ron keeps saying that Alex can play without practicing, and I know we touched on this last time. I asked you about it. Then you give Taylor the #1 reps just in case, right? This week because he's had no reps.
Correct.
He's taken finals.
Yeah.
He was
There's no
taking finals
question about
2
that.
weeks ago.
15-year vet. Come on.
Yeah. So I would think Alex, and don't go through a full practice Friday. Save the
Because Alex
calf.
has looked sharp.
What's that?
Save the-
Alex has looked sharp in his last couple of performances.
Hey, Todd, he's coming back from a really serious injury. You stop that stuff. Anyway, go ahead.
Rico
George.
went soft on
Well,
me.
yeah, well, what I was going to say that with the fact that they don't know for sure who they're going to go with, and basically based on what Todd says, I mean, really, as bad as number 7 was, it wasn't like this at quarterback play.
No.
It wasn't like a
No.
fall over the side of the cliff type
No.
of deal.
No.
But I would think that, in the team and all that stuff, it's kind of with Smith, it's a weird. If you're a fan, you find yourself in a strange place, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
And that is that here this guy braved, everything, or risked what one would appear a lot to even try to come back this year. And a lot of people, and I'll admit I was one of them, saying, what the hell are you doing? You're getting paid the same amount of money whether you play or you don't play. You got a life. There's life after football, and why would you want to risk something like that? But he had his own, obviously that's his decision to say, no, I want to come back, and for whatever reasons he wants to come back for. And he basically, and you can see the leg is misshapen and all this, but he's fought through all that, and he's come back and he's played, and, he's make whatever what he wants. So. I mean, it hasn't been like, God, this guy's unbelievable. I mean, he comes back off this injury after 2 years, and he is just throwing darts, and he's finding people, and he's throwing touchdown passes and all this stuff. But now you get to the end of the season where the guy's got a little tweak. I'd say a little, but he's got a tweaked calf muscle in that leg, which I think what we don't know is that leg is messed up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that and
It
that a
hasn't
tweaked
responded.
calf muscle is a pretty big deal on a bad leg. But on the one hand, you can actually, when you rush to judgment, go, "Are you kidding me? You come back from a broken leg
17
that almost
surgeries.
killed you, 17 surgeries, and you got a little calf muscle here, and you can't go."
Well-
I'm going once again. Give me the gun. I'm out of here.
I'm out here.
I mean, I know that you can make that scenario where if you're a real fan, you're kind of like, "Damn, number 11, what? It's all right there for us. All you got to do is go out there and hand
Well,
the
as
ball
he
off."
said after the last game, which he didn't play, and he said he couldn't protect himself, and I can't imagine as a player for him to say that after what he's been through.
But let me throw something out here. If can't protect yourself, guess what? Hand the ball off. Run the football against Philadelphia. Force the football. And there are going to be moments that all you do is line up and run the football and punt. Run. If that's what's happening, 3 and out, 3 and out. You go. I'm thinking myself. I'm a player. Now, nothing against Taylor Heineke, but Alex Smith is a veteran guy. He's been around. He's been to
manage
playoff
the game
teams.
better for you.
Right. If you're a player and you're the defense, you kind of go, maybe they'll feel better about it if he's the quarterback.
Yeah.
And I would think he's well enough to hand the ball off.
I would say that's exactly right.
and then get your plays where you're not going to put him in harm's way.
Right.
Where you can roll him out or do what if he can move it at all to do
much,
that.
yeah.
I mean, if he can't, then maybe not. But we're not the guys that make that decision. But that would be a possibility, I would think.
The defense thing is the key, though. I think last week
clearly.
they gave up a 10-play touchdown drive last week. They were all runs. I mean, you can't.
Right.
You can't have that. So that's why I think the defense is going to be key. And also keep in mind, Antonio Gibson. Let's hope his turf toe has responded after last week. And Terry McLaurin with the high ankle sprain. Granted, okay, he doesn't catch 10 balls a game, but
McLaurin
he takes,
hasn't practiced. He's probably going to be out. To me, that's huge.
McLaurin will be out.
Yeah, he's got a high ankle sprain. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the premier wide receivers in the entire league.
I mean, even if he doesn't catch, he's drawing attention, right? The defense knows where
makes
he is.
it easier for other guys.
So, I would think that they have to. Alex has to go. If he can, he's had a couple practices. You have to go. Now,
it'll be disappointing
as a player. If you like, he went through the whole practice on Friday. Is that a situation where he should have saved it instead of going through a whole practice, or do you have to see how it responds?
I think that like anything else, you got to have a little confidence. You want to go out there cold, so I'm guessing that he wanted to test it.
All right,
George. Under limited circumstances.
Prediction, George, right here on the line as we close out a god-awful 2020. What's going to happen Sunday night, George?
Who's quarterbacking? That's for me. That's the difference, honestly. And it's weird to say, but Alex.
Okay. Alex Smith, quarterback.
I think they win. I think they win by a touchdown. If
Taylor Heineke.
If Taylor, it's it's a toss-up, and he could make a mistake late in the game, and Philly, returns a fumble or an interception for a touchdown.
I'm gonna go with Warner Wolf. You lose.
You lost.
If Alex plays, Jalen Hurts would worry me too. But the defense you have to.
But that's just it. This defense is so inconsistent.
I know.
It's just ghastly.
I would say you'd always argue that's the bigger key here is how the defense responds from last week.
And you know what? And the reason for that is because they're going to dictate exactly how bad Philly wants to play.
Right.
If they get after Philly and rough their feathers up early on, Philly's going to go, the last game of the season.
It's cold. It's Sunday night.
Go out in the parking lot.
The engine's running on the car.
But it's also, is the defense, could the defense, if they saw last week, they're like, did they put more pressure on themselves knowing Dwayne was quarterbacking? Like, look, this guy's not going to score. We have to go out and play. Is it a difference if they know Alex is quarterback?
Well, we don't want them putting that kind of pressure on themselves because they don't seem to respond very well when they put that kind of pressure on themselves. Just say, hey, guys, just show up, okay?
Hey. All right, we want to thank George Wallace, WTOP. Right. Don't forget, traffic and weather on the 8s.
But let's do the sport. Thank you.
At 15 and 45.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They got to change that, George.
What do we need?
They're giving weather and traffic way too
much time.
Yeah, exactly.
We need sports.
People want to hear from you.
Oh, I appreciate that. Stop it.
Happy New Year, George.
Happy New Year, guys.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Thank Mrs. Wallace.
I will
please.
thank her. Absolutely.
Mama Wallace.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it.
Well, Dex, that's going to wrap it up for us for this year. Do appreciate your contributions. Todd, same for you.
Thank you.
And until next year, Happy New Year.